IT. It was a quiet morning in the grand lobby of a corporate building, where suits and briefcases filled the air with formality. But then, something unusual happened. Little girl, no older than 10, walked in, holding a neatly folded piece of paper. Her eyes searched nervously around until she reached the receptionist's desk. With a soft voice, she said, "My mom is sick, so I came instead." The staff exchanged puzzled looks, unsure, out to respond. Yet there was something in her small, trembling hands clutching her mother's resume that stopped them from turning her away. She wasn't there to play or ask for help. She was there because she believed in her mother. And in that innocence, there was courage far beyond her years. That single step through those heavy glass doors was more powerful than any resume ever written. When the little girl was finally brought into the CEO's office, the room fell silent. The man behind the desk, known for his sharp decisions and no-nonsense attitude, looked up from his papers in disbelief. "You came for the interview?" he asked, half amused, half confused. She nodded shyly and placed the resume in front of him, her voice trembling as she said, "My mum really wanted to come, but she couldn't get out of bed today." "Kerr," she said, "this job could change everything for us." The CEO leaned back, studying her sincerity, the innocence in her words piercing through his usual walls of professionalism. There were no rehearsed answers, no fancy degrees, just truths. For the first time in years, he listened not to qualifications, but to a child's faith in her mother's strength. And that simple faith spoke louder than any interview ever could. In that quiet office, time seemed to slow down. The little girl sat across from the man who had built an empire. Yet in that moment, it felt like she was the one teaching him something far greater than business. As she spoke about her mother's sacrifices, how she stayed up late sewing clothes, how she never complained, even when she was sick, the CEO felt something shift inside him. Her simple words carried the kind of truth no boardroom discussion ever could. He realized that behind every resume is a story. Behind every job title is a human being trying to survive with dignity. It wasn't just an interview anymore. It was a mirror reflecting his own forgotten humanity. The little girl didn't know it, but she had reminded him of something priceless, that compassion will always be stronger than power. As the little girl continued to speak, the CEO's confident smile began to fade. Her words stirred memories he had long buried of a small, broken home, a mother who worked double shifts, and a boy who once dreamed of a better life. He remembered the hunger, the fear, and the nights he promised himself that one day he would never struggle again. But in chasing that dream, he had built walls so high that compassion could no longer climb over them. Now, sitting before this child, he saw himself reflected in her eyes, innocent, hopeful, determined. It wasn't pity he felt, it was connection, a reminder of who he used to be before success hardened him. Sometimes, life doesn't bring people into our path by chance. Sometimes, it sends us someone small to remind us of the person we once were. When the little girl finished speaking, the room was heavy with silence. The CEO sat there, unable to look away from her hopeful eyes. For years, he had made decisions based on numbers, policies, and performance, but this time, his heart spoke louder than logic. He picked up the resume and said softly, "Tell your mum she got the job." The girl's eyes widened in disbelief, tears glistening as she whispered a shaky thank you. But the story didn't end there. Later that day, he personally visited their small apartment, bringing not just an offer letter, but a promise to help her mother recover and rebuild her life with dignity. It wasn't a business decision. It was a human one. And as he walked away, he realized that sometimes the right choice isn't found in rules or contracts, it's found in kindness. Days turned into weeks, and life began to change for that little family. The mother recovered slowly, finding strength not just in her new job, but in the belief that someone had seen her worth when the world had overlooked it. The CEO, too, found himself transformed. He no longer walked through his office halls with just authority, but with empathy. That single encounter had reminded him that true leadership isn't about commanding others, but about lifting them when they fall. He started new programs to help struggling families, inspired by the courage of one little girl who dared to show up when no one else could. What began as an unexpected interruption became a turning point in his life, because sometimes the smallest acts of bravery plant the biggest seeds of change, and one pure heart can touch another in ways that success never could.